earlier this week, Charlie Kirk reported that President Trump was facing significant pressure from the GOP donor class to strike a bipartisan deal that would provide amnesty to illegal aliens working in agriculture and hospitality. Establishment Republicans have always hated Trump, and the fact that his supporters have demanded true border security and immigration enforcement has played a major role in that animosity. By itself, large corporations lobbying the Trump administration to attempt to keep their slave-wage immigrant workforce shouldn't really surprise or concern anyone, but the fact that Trump has started to repeat their rhetoric, that certainly should. Now, Donald Trump says a lot of things, and anyone who gets emotionally exasperated at any single statement will start to look like a hysterical journalist. I don't know who coined the phrase, "take Trump seriously, not literally," but that was some great advice. The president will fire off lines about annexing Canada, but no one takes serious action over this stuff. That said, Trump is also very receptive to public opinion and often seems to be judging the audience reaction before making a decision. This constant attention to public reaction means that it's usually worth providing pushback to bad policy suggestions floated by the president without becoming overly emotional. Trust the plan, but verify the plan regularly. Charlie Kirk is aware of this dynamic, and that's why he has suddenly rallied opposition against any possible amnesty deal. Kirk is very influential and well-connected in the Trump sphere, so the fact that he believes this is a real danger worth agitating against means that something big is probably brewing in the Washington swamp. Corporate America were never fans of immigration enforcement, but as long as deportation stayed focused on gangbangers and drug dealers working the corner, then they kept quiet. Once ICE started conducting worksite raids and draining the labor pool of illegal agricultural workers, corporate interests decided it was time to kick the lobbying into high gear. At first, Trump started to mention in his speeches that his Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, had told him about the plight of farmers and hotel owners who were losing some of their best workers to deportations. The president then said that his administration would work with farmers to ensure that they got the workers that they needed. The administration quietly provided guidance, exempting farmers and hotels from immigration raids. It's clear that lobbyists and Secretary Rollins had Trump's ear. Thankfully, the online backlash to this announcement was so fierce that the administration quickly reversed their official guidelines, removing that exemption. Unfortunately, that was far from the end of the story. Trump continued to mention the importance of giving farmers access to illegal labor, despite this clearly being deeply unpopular with his supporters. In the wake of the Big Beautiful Bill's passage and its massive increase in border security funding, it appears that many Washington power brokers are attempting to convince the president that now is the time to tack back to the center on immigration. The whisper campaign about a bipartisan bill began to make its way around the halls of power, and this is almost certainly why Kirk felt the need to take action. Special carve-outs for illegal labor provided to specific industries would be a deep betrayal of the promises made to the MAGA faithful. There may have been a time where closing the border and deporting the worst offenders would have been enough, but that moment is well in the rearview mirror. It's likely that more than 8 million illegals entered the country under Joe Biden's completely illegitimate puppet regime. That's a number that's several million more than the population of the average U.S. state. Democrats intentionally flooded the country in an attempt to permanently alter the demographics and political balance of the nation. And if these new arrivals are not expelled immediately, they'll have succeeded as well. After Kirk's warning that an official amnesty plan may be coming down the pipeline, another round of online backlash led to the Secretary of Agriculture being marched out in front of the public to assure them that mass deportations would continue. Once again, the MAGA base celebrated, but Rollins left some wiggle room in her remarks when she said that deportations would now be more strategic. Trump seemed to confirm the secretary's remarks by saying that there would be no amnesty, but immediately followed up by announcing that the administration was considering a workers' program so farmers could get the labor that they needed. That language did not have the reassuring effect that the president was hoping for. The United States already has a program for employers who want to hire foreign workers. Farms which ignore that program in favor of hiring illegal immigrants are criminals who are breaking the law. Business owners should not receive a seat at the table for flagrantly violating the law. They should go to jail. Allowing illegal aliens to stay in the United States and rewarding them with American jobs is amnesty. Plain and simple. All the attempts to redefine the term are ugly and disingenuous. Conservatives have been betrayed on immigration so many times it's almost comical. We're promised enforcement of the law in exchange for some kind of immigration reform, but the end result is always the same. Illegals get to stay and the border eventually reopens. And make no mistake, this will not end with just the workers. Their families will come, and then their extended families. Chain migration will turn into mass immigration, just like it always does. Donald Trump was elected because he was the first candidate to talk about truly changing the game with measures like a border wall and mass deportations. Pushing a bipartisan amnesty deal right after receiving the funding to enact those plans which have already been promised would be an incredible betrayal. Ronald Reagan is revered by many Republicans, but for all of his accomplishments, his naivete on immigration was disastrous. Reagan's amnesty doomed California, once a solid red state, to become the most important Democrat power base in the country. Trump should silence Rollins or anyone else who is whispering in his ear that amnesty will work for him this time. Establishment Republicans were abandoned in favor of Trump because they regularly chose the well-being of the donor class over the well-being of the country. It would be a tragedy to see Donald Trump throw away his legacy by making the same fatal mistake. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time to do so. If you'd like to get your broadcasts as podcasts, make sure to subscribe to the Auron MacIntyre Show on your favorite podcast platform. And when you do, leave a rating or a review. It really helps with the algorithm magic. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter or Gab or Substack or Instagram, if you would like to watch these videos on Rumble or Odyssey, the links to do all of that are down below in the description. If you'd like to support the show, you can of course head over to shopblazemedia.com, click on the Auron MacIntyre collection, and find a piece of merch there that you'd enjoy. Or you can pick up my book, The Total State. It's actually going to have a second paperback edition coming out soon, so if you want to snag some of those hardbacks before they switch over, now is a great time. And of course, you can always watch all of my shows and read all of my columns over at The Blaze. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll talk to you next time.